Welcome to Crown Council Live. It's Steve Anderson, and I'm excited to be your host today. This is actually for as long as we have done this. I've never had the opportunity to fly solo, and so I'm excited to be with all of you today. And we got some great guests, and we have some great announcements and some things that'll be great for Crown Council land. So. Let me get started. I'll just give you a quick little update. First, I had the opportunity this morning to give the last lecture at Texas A&M Dental School to the fourth-year students. This is something that I've gotten the opportunity to do for the last several years. It was awesome. A newly minted, soon-to-be minted crop of young dentists, and we did the last lecture of things that everybody ought to know coming out of dental school. So big shout out. Texas A&M Dental School used to be what was called Baylor. Most people are familiar with Baylor, now Texas A&M. So it was fun to see a group of very enthusiastic young dentists coming out and on their way to launch an amazing career. One thing, just as a reminder for any of you who have a young dentist in your life, we've created a podcast series for young dentists that interviews where we've featured some young dentists and their experience coming out of school and how they've been very, very successful early on in their career. And so all that's available in your premium hub on crowncouncil.com. You can share that with any young dentist in your life, as well as the Young Dentist Program, 3 weekends led by Dr. Dave Hornbrook and Chase Larson. 3 weekends. The next class will start in January of next year. So enrollment is open. The current class is in progress. They had their first weekend and then their prep weekend and then their seat weekend, working through a great cosmetic case. So great opportunities for young dentists, and the future of dentistry is alive and well. We are excited to announce that we've collected the first $500,000 in the Smiles for Life whitening campaign for 2024. So congratulations on all the success and spreading the word and making it possible for your patients and their friends and people in your community to whiten their teeth for a worthy cause, and keep up the great work. So some great things happening from all over the country, and it continues to be the most successful charity campaign in dentistry. Now well over the $50 million mark in money raised and given away. And we're excited to be a part of that partnership with you and Ultradent, who supplies all the whitening supplies to make that happen. And your efforts to whiten teeth and donate the time required to make all of that happen. So keep it coming. It's really one of the best new patient generators. And there's some great resources online to train the whole team on how to make it a great resource for your entire team to whiten teeth and for charity and draw in new patients. So here would be a suggestion if you're doing the Smiles for Life whitening campaign this year: is every patient in your practice that comes in should have the opportunity to refer someone to the Smiles for Life whitening campaign. And the way you do that is just by simply asking, who do you know that would love to get their teeth whitened for a great cause? Who do you know? So it's not, do you know anybody, but who do you know that would love to whiten their teeth for a great cause? So a great way to get people to talk about and spread the word about the Smiles for Life campaign and your practice, to get that word spread in your community. So keep up the great work and keep it coming. Great causes, great benefits, and great for your practice. So we are very excited on the total patient service side of the house. We've got some amazing events coming up, and our Leadership Academy here the end of April that'll be here in Dallas, Texas. I'm in Dallas, and as well as Total Immersion that is coming up shortly in Boston. So May 9th and 10th on the East Coast, and looking forward to being hosted by a group of our Boston area Crown Council practices, Dr. Steve Spitz and Lori Spitz, Stephen Kest and his whole pediatric team, as well as many others that are going to be in attendance. So it's going to be an awesome experience. We also announced a total immersion that'll be in Atlanta, Georgia this fall, as well as a total immersion in Fort Worth. In addition to that, coming up is our Should You Be Insurance Free course. This is a workshop for teams that are asking themselves critical questions about their relationship with insurance and what that looks like moving forward. Having been involved in dentistry for several decades, we are today getting more inquiries and more questions about the relationship with insurance, which is what led us to create this course for those that are exploring that relationship. And so it's 2 days of analysis, workshop, questions, and it's not necessarily just about getting out of insurance, getting out of network as much as it is analyzing the whole relationship and then determining the path forward. So the outcome of that for many practices is, yes, some decide to get all out, some decide to stay in, some decide to drop some plans. There's no one size fits all. And there certainly is a path forward depending on which direction you decide to take. So all of that information can be found at totalpatientservice.com. All the seminar dates and locations are outlined there, from Total Immersion, Should You Be Insurance Free, Leadership Academy, as well as all the coaching resources that are available. In addition to that is, and DJ, I think I am going to share my screen. While I've got an opportunity to do this, the TOPS team has been hard at work, creating an amazing resource that is available to any practice in the Crown Council. That is the virtual coaching platform. So this is in response to the practices that wanted an easier way to train their teams, and from a distance standpoint. And I'll show this to you real quick. And this has become a huge resource for practices all over the country. And I'm going to move this over here real quick. Oh, there it is. All right. So at crowncouncil.com, there is a login, and the virtual coaching platform is here, and it has all kinds of different topics. And one that I would highly recommend that is available for free, you can log on at totalpatientservice.com. And this virtual coaching program, be a top 10 performing practice, is available to everyone for free. And you can do this individually, or you can do it as an entire team. But it's very interactive, and you can go through each one of these sections. And hello, Jamie Sled. And
hello.
Good to see you. And you can go through each one of these sections, and it'll give you some context for creating, in this case, some of the characteristics of what we call a top 10 performing practice. So it's interactive. It comes with a live virtual coach once you've gone through the content that'll help you then assimilate it, implement it, and get it into your practice. So you can log on to that at totalpatientservice.com, and all kinds of amazing resources there to make it work. So with that, let me introduce our first guest today, one of my favorite people on the planet. And I don't say that about everybody, Jamie Sled.
Oh,
So, thank you for being with us. And let me just give everybody a quick introduction. So, Jamie Sled, career dentist, one of the best, from Minneapolis, Minnesota. And Jamie's had an amazing career in addition to her private practice and she's got an amazing story that we have talked about over the years. Some of you may recall. But Jamie's got an amazing practice that she took totally out of network at one point. We may talk about that real quick. She was also the president of the Minnesota Dental Association and really took a real firm stance on behalf of all of dentistry in terms of what's right and how the relationship with insurance ought to work. I'm being politically correct. Basically, she went head to head with Delta Dental of Minnesota. and so Jamie's just had an amazing career and is the moderator and the primary topic of our conversation today. Jamie moderates one of our Crown Council mastermind groups, one very special one that we call our legacy group, that is focused on what we call the back nine in terms of planning a meaningful, purpose-driven, full life that I'm not going to say post-practice because it could involve the practice of dentistry, but maybe post-sale of a practice and how plan and craft that. And so we got a few things to talk about today, Jamie. So welcome.
thank you. I'm excited to
And
be here.
where on the map are you today?
We are, as you can see, maybe you can't see, I am sitting on my bed in our motorhome. Tom
Yes.
and I live in our motorhome, and we are currently in Arizona. We are halfway between Phoenix and Tucson. We are at the base of Picacho. As you can hear Tom say, we're homeless. We're at the base of Picacho Peak Mountain. It's beautiful and very historic.
Yes. Very love that. So I've actually had the opportunity to be, it is not a mobile home. It's like a mobile yacht.
Thank you.
So quick backstory is Jamie and her husband, Tom, were nice enough to come share their week with us at Eagle University last summer in Kansas, and came in their mobile yacht and camped out right outside, right on the campus with us, and were great mentors and just a huge support. Jamie's been a huge champion of Eagle University for a long time, has sponsored students to come through the program and has come down as a mentor every year. And she moved in this year.
I loved it. I loved it. What a great experience.
So maybe first off, I'm going to be a little off script here, if that's okay, Jamie, because I just mentioned our TOPS Should You Be Insurance Free course coming up. That's really all about analyzing your relationship with insurance. You've been down that road. Maybe you could share just briefly your experience with all of that, both on the side of organized dentistry, as well as with your own personal practice and how you navigated that. Maybe you can just give us a little bit of the backstory.
When I purchased my practice, the gentleman I purchased from was a provider for every insurance known to man. And we know that while we want to have our fees at a certain level so we can make sure that we have the financial ability to provide the care that we wish to pay, and so that we can be paid. And insurance companies, as we all know, adjusts our fee down. Let me tell you a quick story. My niece is a new dentist and she just opened her own practice. And I asked her, what is your fee schedule? Where do you fall within that level? And she said, oh, I'm in the 95th percentile. But she takes every insurance known to man, so you know she's not in the 95th percentile. No, she's in the 50th percentile, and she can't afford to pay herself.
Right.
So that's unfortunate. Also, it's very difficult when you have to have your insurance, or when the insurance wants to dictate the care that's being provided to our patients. That's not what our patients deserve. They
And
want to
and
have,
and not what you signed up for as a dentist. And I just briefly, when we were doing the intro, I spoke at Texas A&M Dental School this morning to the fourth year students. Every year I get to give the last lecture. So I was their last class in the classroom for their dental education, at least as a dental student. And we talked about this, that they did not sign up for someone else to tell them what
exactly,
they could diagnose and treatment plan and what they couldn't.
exactly. I agree.
So your journey, your personal journey, in terms of, you bought a practice, fully contracted. How did you walk through that decision and what you decided to do?
I I would look at what the providers were paying, and little by little I started to eliminate those providers. And what was really important was educating our patients on the very thing that we are just talking about, the care that they can receive when they're able to not rely on what their insurance company will pay. Now, as we know, there are certain patients that that's what they want, and that's okay. So maybe there is a different provider that can provide them that kind of care. Over the years, I eliminated all of the insurance, so I was totally fee for service. Yes, in my practice, we still would submit the insurance for our patients. That was an easy thing for us to do as one of our services, but they were responsible for the total fee. Little by little, we just started eliminating our contracts with the insurance companies.
And then you took it to the street. So when you became president of the Minnesota Dental Association, this became really a real flashpoint in your whole presidency of relationship with Delta. Maybe just give us just a quick color commentary on how all that came down.
Wow, that was a while ago, and I kind of forgot about that. Yeah,
We
it
haven't
was
forgotten about you.
it was a battle again, working with Delta, where they weren't dictating the care that we provided, and also, dictating their fee for service. It was a real battle. We worked within the Senate and the Congress on that. We worked politically. I remember sitting at the Delta headquarters having conversations regarding what Delta was willing to provide, and how we didn't want to be a part of that. We wanted to be able to provide the care that our patients deserved.
So you can make a difference, and I've always applauded you for your commitment, not only to the practice of dentistry, but your commitment to organized dentistry. And
Thank you.
one person can make a difference.
Thank you. And if I may take it off script for just another
Yes.
moment, I see that your TOPS sign right behind you, your total patient services. Yes, I am going through physical therapy right now for a sore back. And yesterday I was on the table listening to what's going on, and I gave them some TOPS guidance.
Did you go into coaching mode?
I did. I went into coaching mode.
I
It
love
was
that.
awesome. Again, how do our patients want to be treated? Terrific. So thank you for providing that knowledge to me,
Oh,
and
happy to do.
allowing me to be able to do the best I can do.
So one of the things, of the many, many things that you're such a great example of, is being coachable. You had um, a TOPS coach involved in your practice for many years.
Bless her heart. That woman is a saint.
Yes, and made some big strides, and some things that really were, I think, significant accomplishments, but just making all those pieces work. So
Thank you.
let's talk about one. This is one of my favorite things. In fact, I shared this again with the dental students this morning, which is, if me personally, if I'd had to identify some key anchor things that have been just so critical over my continued journey, is this whole principle of the mastermind. Is just, when I look back over the years, how critically important it's been for me, turning points that have happened because of that whole concept of meeting on a regular basis with like-minded people that have a common purpose and just sharing experience and just having that whole buffet of experience. And instead of trying to do it on your own, copying genius and tapping into the wisdom of other people. That was originally introduced to me uh, from Walter Haley, who was my late mentor, business partner, co-founder of the Crown Council, through Think and Grow Rich, which is a classic self-help book. Everybody in the Crown Council, if you have not read that, it's required reading. And Napoleon Hill in chapter 10 in Think and Grow Rich, he dedicates an entire chapter to this concept and talks about some amazing examples back in history of well-known people who employed that concept. And one of them that he really highlighted was Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, and Harry Firestone. Three iconic, an inventor and two industrialists that became very good friends and the three of them would meet on a regular basis just to exchange ideas and help each other solve problems. And they helped each other build their businesses and navigate their life. And so I've always been a big champion of that principle. We have Crown Council mastermind groups that are functioning every day, that meet on a monthly basis online, and then at least once a year face to face. And Jamie is a moderator of one of those groups. We call it the Legacy Group, which is a group of dentists that have successfully navigated through a very successful career. Some of them still in practice, but the primary focus, and I'll let you, Jamie, talk about but the primary focus is really what comes next, right? How to build an overall meaningful life. So maybe for starters, you could just share your own mastermind experience for yourself, and then tell us a little bit about the Legacy Mastermind Group and what you have accomplished so far.
I'm happy to do it. I'm excited. My mastermind experience began with a group that is specifically a women's group. And we meet once a month and we talk about different things that may affect us specifically as being women in dentistry. We will often have meetings where one of our members is sitting in her car, it's in the dark, sitting in her car because her child is at a music lesson or something like that. So maintaining that flexibility, because it's important to us as members of these groups to be there, to be there as a part of the group. And we get to communicate with each other. How are you handling this in your lifestyle, specifically being female? Now, that's just one of the small components of it. The big component is we're learning from each other. We're sharing our experiences. And as you said, we're copying genius. We have speakers come in, and I think the majority of us want to continue learning. So if I can transition to the Legacy Group, about half of our group is retired. The other half of our group is nearing retirement. And we work together to help the transition, helping these still working dentists. Okay, how do you make the transition? How do you get through it? Sometimes that's the way it feels. And then how do you move into that next chapter of your life, that back nine? We almost always have some speaker come in. And I will say the speakers that we get, I often find from different venues. For example, Brent Pennell, who was one of your guests during this live event. That's how I found him. And then I saw him at the Crown Council event. He came and spoke to our group. And we've had a speaker that I received from the women's group. One of the things that we do, mainly from the women's group, is sometimes we will guest attend the hygiene group and they will guest attend us. So it's a wonderful opportunity to communicate with each other, to learn from each other. We also in the Legacy Group, we have a book club. We read a book each time. And I'm going to tell you, one of the books we read was called Purposeful Retirement. And in chapter 8, they talk about organ recitals. Okay, I do not play a musical
I
instrument.
know what this is.
I do not play an organ, but we know that when many of us reach that age, we want to sit and talk about every single ailment that we have. No, no, there is no organ recitals.
I love that.
So it's a great opportunity to be together, to continue learning. We had a speaker, Lane Martin, who talks about airway issues. And I know that's very important in many of our lives. And I learned so much that I didn't know that I wish I was still working.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really do. And it's great to have these people that you can, even outside of the mastermind group, you can connect with and say, hey, can you give me some guidance on this topic? It's a great opportunity. I encourage everybody to look into being a part of a mastermind group.
Yeah, it's the dynamic, if you've never been involved in it, part of the dynamic is it's not just, come, listen, learn like you would at a seminar or you would at, in an online course. This is a dynamic where there's give and take. In other words, you go with two assumptions. One, that you're going to learn something, but two, that you're going to give something.
Exactly.
It's a two-way street. And so what I've noticed over the years is the more you get to know the different individuals in the group and context, then when you're working through specific issues and different things, that the whole sharing of different experiences just becomes that much more credible and significant because you understand the context that's being discussed. And there's almost no topic that's off the table. I mean, it's all
You're right.
when you get the group
You're right.
the right way.
And to address that, Steve, when you say there's no topic off the table, the Legacy Group is a group that what's discussed in the group stays in the group.
Stays in the group. Yeah,
it stays in the group. Exactly.
Jamie, you remember my dad, and
yes.
One of the things I'll never forget of the many, many different examples that he shared, one was when he was 80, when he turned 80 years old, he sent all of his kids a letter. It was a 36-page letter. And
yes, I remember that.
Yeah, the cover letter said, the intro, he said, I was talking to a mentor of mine the other day. And I stopped right there and I thought, isn't that interesting? He's 80 and he has mentors.
Yes.
And and his point was he was talking to this mentor and reminded him that his job as a father's never done. And so he had written this 35-page letter of all the things that he hoped that we had, grasped and learned and adopted as our own, that he wanted to teach us. And so that was our makeup work. But that was his makeup work for us. But I've never forgotten that example is at every stage of career, every stage of life, there's different challenges, there's new adventures, there's all kinds of things to learn, and we're never done. And so that's really been, the purpose of creating this Legacy Mastermind concept is, it's now a new set of challenges. Challenges and opportunities, and just as much to learn as there is going through your career and building a practice and all those other things. The principles remain the same, and you can continue to employ them just with a different focus.
Exactly.
So thank you for one, your example, and two, for yet again leading the way and moderating that group. We're actually now, the concept has caught on. And so we're now creating several more just like it with that same focus of working on, the next phase. Roy Hammond, Jamie, who you remember,
Yes.
who's been a great example to all of us. And one of the great pieces of advice that Roy has always really preached is a 10-year in advance planning. So that whatever, you ought to be planning 10 years out,
Yes.
because there's things you can do right now that'll make it a lot easier 10 years from now. And so that being the focus, wherever you are in the career is, if you look 10 years out, what's on the horizon? What do you need to be, what kinds of opportunities do you need to be thinking about? What do you need, and what kind of resources do you need to pull in? And what kind of people do you need to surround yourself with, like a mastermind group?
Exactly. Exactly. I think about, again, speaking with my niece just the other day, she was asking me financial planning questions. I am not a financial planner. And thankfully, I have a wonderful financial planner.
Yes, you
Both.
do.
And I encouraged her, you have to go that direction. Right now, I happen to be her mastermind group, and I'm trying to get her to come the Crown Council direction.
I
She
love it.
needs you. Yes, yes. But there are so many things, and specifically towards the legacy group, there for the few that are still working, you don't want to wait until the last minute to decide you're ready to end your career, because your options become very limited.
Yeah.
Are you able to sell to a private practitioner, or do you have to sell to a big corporate practice? So it's nice, again, to have that connection where you can have the conversations back and forth, share wisdom, and learn.
100%. Hey, thank you so much again for your amazing example on so many fronts and for your ongoing leadership. Not only is a great example, but just leading other people and your role moderating, and from doing it from wherever. I mean, every time I talk to you, you're someplace different on the map, not just in the US, but all over the world.
Yeah,
And
I did it from Indonesia one
yes,
day.
you did. You did. So safe travels to you and Tom, wherever you're
Thank
headed
you.
next.
Thank
And
you.
thanks again for joining us from Arizona today.
Yes, happy to do it. And I will see you in a couple of weeks.
You got it. All
I'm
right.
excited. All right.
Happy
Take care.
trails. Thanks,
Thank
Jamie.
you. Bye bye.
So great, great advice, and some great opportunities. That's just one example of many, many examples of Crown Council mastermind groups. If that is something you haven't taken advantage of yet, I highly recommend it. It is transformational and can have huge, huge impact on your practice and on your life. And so more information on mastermind groups, you can go to crowncouncil.com. In your premium member hub, there's information about mastermind groups. To get included in a group and to be placed in a group, you can message us on the live chat, on the email, on the website, or just email us. You can email me, Steve at crowncouncil.com, or Greg at crowncouncil.com, and just tell us what you're interested in. Just say, I'm ready to be in a mastermind group, and we will go to work placing you in the right group. So with that, I'm excited to welcome on the Ballards from Peak Dental Lab. And we're going to have a great conversation today about the importance of having a great lab partner. So I'm going to invite them in. There's Taylor. Hello, Taylor. This is Taylor Ballard from Peak Dental Lab. And thanks for joining us today. And we are going to have a fun conversation about the important role that a lab partnership, and I'll call it that, plays in a dental practice. And I'll just give it this context is that in our culture of success philosophy, we really believe that your key suppliers are a member of the team. They're part of the mastermind as well. And they bring a critically important piece of the puzzle to play, and that the relationship there ought to be one of a partnership, a two-way street. We have a Crown Council qualified member requirement that you have at least twice a year a 360-degree conversation with your primary lab of what you as a dentist can be doing better to produce quality work, as well as what the lab can do, so that you're collaborating in a way of continual improvement to continually improve the quality of care that you provide your patients. So with that as the backdrop, Taylor, give us a little background on the history of Peak Dental Lab.
Yeah, of course. Well, first, thank you for having us on. I appreciate you guys, thinking of us and giving us the opportunity to come on, and grateful to have this conversation because, as you said, I think it's super important. Like what you said, a lab and a dental offices, we're very integrated. We're very involved with each other. So I think this whole idea of a partnership and finding ways to facilitate that and that collaboration is just crucial. So a little bit of background on Peak. Peak is located in Pleasant Grove, Utah, so just south of Salt Lake City if you're not in Utah. We're a full service lab, so we deal mostly with about half of our work is removables, and then the rest is fixed, implant, orthodontic. So full service there. We've been around for about 7 years, and we've been part of the Crown Council for, I think, about that same amount of time since that inception. So we love our Crown Council offices and just love the environment that it creates, and they're just some of the best offices to work with that we have. So yeah.
Very cool. Talk to us about in terms of when you and Sam built Peak Dental Lab, where you decided to position it and what makes it unique in the dental lab world.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think I'll be the first to say there are lots of great labs out there, right? There are lots of great technicians, lots of great labs. I think us coming into this, and I was grateful that you invited us on to talk about this, was the idea of this partnership, right? We wanted to be a lab where it's not just a transactional relationship. We wanted to be involved in helping to serve these patients, and serve these people, because at the end of the day, this is not just transactional. There is a real person at the end of this, and we are changing these lives. And I think that goes back to a lot of what the Crown Council has to offer with Smiles for Life and all of these humanitarian trips and things that you do. We wanted to be involved in that. And that was kind of how we felt we could be involved with the skill set that we have. So I think that's one thing that sets us apart. And so the quality and the communication that we get with our lab work and the relationships we have with our dentists in creating these restorations and products is, I would say bar none. We have great relationships with our doctors. And so I think the quality speaks for itself, and then also the relationships that it fosters as well.
Yeah, I've always said that in the dentist lab relationship, great communication can create great clinical results. And just like I always joke about this, that in a dental office there are certain patients that everybody knows are hard to deal with, and I think we call them PETA patients, and they kind of get a reputation, and the same is true in the lab business, is that there are some dentists that are easy to work with and others that aren't. And a big part of the quality of the work is impacted by the quality of the relationship. So I'm going to do this in a two-way street, which is one, if you'll give us a little peek inside, not to coin a phrase. So if you were to characterize the ideal dentist relationship, it's like when you all sit around the table and you have a team meeting and the doors are closed and it's just, the team at Peak, what makes for a great client for a dental lab that you love to work with, that you're eager to serve? I know you're eager to serve everybody, but what are the ingredients that the dentist brings to the table that makes it easier for you to do what you do?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And yeah, we'll definitely give you that peek, right? Because we work with hundreds of doctors a week, and so like you said, we have the wide scale. So I think coming back to that main idea of avoiding that transactional relationship, right? And we can feel when the relationship is transactional or not. And I think some of the areas that I would touch on that make the difference are communication, the collaboration, and then the respect. So kind of diving into that. So the communication, our best offices communicate with us all the time. And it doesn't have to be long. And especially for Crown Council members, it's easy because they have my cell phone number and they have our office manager's cell phone number.
They know where you live. Yeah.
They know where I live.
Yeah.
They have my number. They shoot us consistent short messages, text messages in between operatories, like just seated this case, that we'd been talking about went well. Or, hey, noticed we've had a couple of cases with contacts that may be off. Let's look into it. Or they give us a constant flow of feedback, which makes all the difference because as a lab, we don't get to see that final step. So if we don't know how things are going, if you don't tell us, we have no idea. You have offices that will leave and say, hey, this just wasn't working. And it's like, that could have been fixed. We could have saved a lot of pain with the text message. Just shoot it off to me. Because there's a huge element, a human element to this, right? There are so many moving parts to lab work, and that's what makes it so complicated. And we're dealing with such tiny spaces and preferences. So that communication part, they just don't let things go unresolved. We always know what they're thinking, where they're at. The collaboration, I think part of that plays into, we're working as a team. At the end of the day, we're on the same team. It's not you and the patient against the lab, and we're the ones preventing you from getting what you want, but it's the doctor and the lab working together to help the patient. And that ties into honesty. So honestly telling us, giving us that feedback and admitting both ways where, hey, I'm seeing that maybe the lab really messed up here and I'm being honest, or I'm admitting here that, hey, I really over adjusted the contact. So we can actually know what we need to fix. And I think at Peak, we call them partnership policies, a couple things that we do to kind of facilitate that and make that a comfortable place. So one, we offer warranties on all of our products. So every product has a 2-year warranty. Zirconia has a lifetime warranty. So if there's ever any issues, warranty. Second, we offer free remakes on any product that's under warranty. You return any part of the product, we'll take care of it. We feel like that takes out the blame game of if when something goes wrong, right? That's the crucial conversation part of like, okay, tensions are high, somebody's not happy. How do we kind of remove that? Who's at fault? Who's paying for this? Let's just take care of it. So that way an office can open up to us and say, hey, I over adjusted the contacts, instead of saying the contacts are off and who's at blame. So that way we know what we can talk to our technicians about and all of that. We offer unlimited wax try-ins on removables because we want the patient to be happy. At the end of the day, we don't want you to not say something or not do an extra wax try-in because the patient doesn't want to pay a few extra dollars. We want this outcome to be good. So that's one of our policies. And then we offer free design approval for aesthetic cases. Again, those are a big life-changing thing for people. And so let's go through the design together because some of this may be preference and some of it may be you're the one who's seen the patient. We trust your clinical knowledge. So again, that collaboration, that honesty, and then last, just the respect, this basic, what we love about working with Crown Council doctors, that this is never an issue, right? They're always kind in how they talk to us, but just making sure that, if there's a big issue, communicate with us directly, communicate in an appropriate way and all of that. So I'd say those are kind of our inside things. So those best doctors, they're honest with us, they communicate with us, they're respectful, and we can work together on these cases.
Love it. Yeah, I've always said that the dentist lab relationship is singular in that for you as a lab, your number one supplier is also your biggest customer. It's the same person. You have to have a quality impression and a quality relationship. That's the primary material you're working with. Yeah, you got to have porcelain, you got to have all that other stuff. But the most important part of the equation is what you get from the dentist, who is then also your customer.
Yeah.
And so that's unique, very unique in business. In a lot of ways.
Very unique. There's a lot of niche things about dental, and that is one of the unique ones for sure.
Let's talk real quick about our Crown Council qualified member requirement of having this ongoing relationship with the lab, where the focus, at least twice a year, the conversation is, what can we do to do better? So there's a two-way street. So the recommendation is that there's a conversation at least twice a year where if I were the dentist, Taylor, I'd sit down, on a call or face to face with you or my primary technician. And question number one is, what can I do better as a dentist to give you a more quality input so that you can produce the highest quality output, right? Because it takes both. And then vice versa is, then what can the lab do to make it easier for the dentist? But the whole goal is quality of the outcome, right? Continual improvement. So the quality that the patient receives is continually on the rise. So what can, we put the responsibility for that conversation on the shoulders of the Crown Council dentists. It's their responsibility to reach out with to the lab and initiate that conversation, schedule it, and have it. If there were, just in the context of that conversation, what are some key questions that you would recommend a dentist ask their lab if they were going to initiate that conversation? Some labs, this is a very foreign concept. And I've had labs that have called me and said, can you explain to me what's going on here? Because I've never had a dentist do this, of calling up and say, what can I do to do a better job for you guys? I mean, that's great feedback. What additional questions would you recommend a dentist ask their lab that would increase the likelihood of a quality outcome?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I think these calls can make all the difference, right? So I think the first point in going into this is to recognize too, when you're having this conversation, especially if you can give the lab a little bit of notice with some of these questions, is that we have access to tens of thousands of data points. We work with hundreds and hundreds, many labs work with hundreds of doctors, and we have data points on remakes and things broken down between digital and traditional and most common remake reasons, and how those spread across all different areas. And so I think as a clinician, as a dentist, you could go to your lab and ask basic questions of, hey, let's start with remakes, right? Because that's a huge pain point, right? For everybody. The lab doesn't like it, the office doesn't like it, the patient doesn't like it. So you could dive into that straight on. Say, how does my remake percentage compare to the rest of your offices? And
moment of truth.
Moment of truth. How does my remake percentage compare? Where are you seeing the highest remakes? Do those fall within reason of what you're seeing everywhere else? How do my remakes compared to traditional or physical? Depending on what you're doing, what does that look like? Because we do see sometimes, hey, physical impressions have higher remake reasons in not seating because maybe the impression is distorted, or with certain kinds of, you can get so detailed of how does this compare to iTero scanners, the other offices that use iTeros, or, so you can really dive into that information and kind of nail down like, hey, I see that my margin remakes are a lot higher than average or than other people. Let's take a look. Is there extra training that we can do? Is it, something's not clear? Is it the technician that's working on it? You can kind of really dive into that. Other questions I'd ask on top of that would, you could ask about the lab's preference for pictures, or let's say, like, am I sending you enough information when I'm doing aesthetic cases? Or is there anything extra that you would prefer when I do cases? Do you want a quadrant arch? Do you want a full arch in this situation? Because labs can make a lot of things work, but yeah, there are times we prefer, bite registrations or full arch or pictures and all that. So I'd say those would be my initial things. And I think remakes are kind of that big pain point that we're trying to avoid. So I think you can really dive in with specifics on those questions, and labs that have good tracking software, we use Salesforce, can pull those reports, no problem. So
maybe one of the questions would be, what do you all say about me when I'm not around?
Only good things. Only good things.
So a big part of it, quality input contributes to a quality output, and that's what's unique about this whole relationship. So when we did, Taylor, I may not have shared this with you before, but when we did the first annual event coming up 30 years ago.
3 years.
The cornerstone of that event, and really what kicked off the entire organization, is we brought in a protege of Dr. W. Edwards Deming, who was the father of the whole quality movement worldwide. And his protege came in. Dr. Deming had passed away by then, but this was one of his closest associates who came in and facilitated an entire day of quality improvement and introduced the entire model, the whole Deming model, to the Crown Council. And this was a big piece of it, is where does the lab relationship fit in this whole cycle of creating a quality outcome for the patient? And what do you have to do over time to make that relationship work? And it remains today. Technology is great and communication is key. Technology is never going to do the entire job without great communication between the dentist and the lab. So to wrap up, tell us about your 1 week of free lab work. I'm ready to know about this, because I got some guys who are going to send you thousands of dollars worth of a week. So tell us about that.
Yeah, of course. So for the month of April, for Crown Council offices, new offices, they're eligible for 1 week of free lab work. So basically how it works is we take your average weekly lab work over the course of 8 weeks, and then we give that to you in a credit. So if you're averaging over those 8 weeks, if you average $500 a week, we give you $500 credit to use. If you're averaging $1,000 a week, you give you $1,000 of lab work credit, and all of that. So that's just basically how it works. And this is in conjunction, and we'll give you a little bit of a preview for Crown Council members, something we're launching on Monday, but we are launching our newest giveaway. So we are giving away a Ritz-Carlton Mediterranean cruise experience for 2 plus flights. And every $100 worth of lab work between Monday and December counts as an entry into that giveaway.
Wow.
So we did just finish our first giveaway, and Dr. Harrison Long in Wetumpka, Alabama won, and it was super fun. We flew out and surprised him. So we're doing it again, opening it up to our Crown Council offices, and we want to give this to you guys too. So
Love it.
on top of the free lab work, you can also get, fun entries into this giveaway. So
very cool. Okay, I love that. So tell us how, if I want to get my week of free lab work and I want to enter for the Ritz-Carlton cruise, how do I get started?
Of course. So easiest way to get started, you can reach out to me personally. My information is on the Crown Council website, or anybody at our team. And we have a Crown Council welcome packet that has everything you need. It has Crown Council pricing, turnaround times, information for connecting scanners. We provide free shipping labels, all of the things. So it has everything you need in that packet. And then if you have any questions, you can call our office, and we'd be happy to set up your account and get you started. And then the entries into the giveaway are automatic. And we'll track. And after the 8 weeks, we'll let you know your credit amount and put it on your statement and as a credit. And yeah, so easy.
Cool. So up on my screen, this is in your Crown Council at crowncouncil.com and your premium member hub. If you go to resource partners, and in fact, I'll show you how to navigate, because you guys have your own page here. But if you go to resource partners and then go to clinical materials and services, it's the very first option there. It's in alphabetical order. If you go down to Peak Dental Studio, and then at least on the Crown Council website, there is all the information. Let's see, do we have your special offer up on the website, Taylor? We better have it up there.
I hope so.
Yes. So there's a whole welcome packet for Crown Council members. You can download that. Contact question. You guys have done a great job of providing some great resources there, as well as Taylor's information, phone number, etc. So thanks for providing all of that. And Taylor, thank you for your insight today, and being a great partner with and for Crown Council offices.
Perfect. Well, we appreciate you guys. It's always a pleasure getting to chat.
Very good. Thanks so much. Have a super day.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks for joining us for Crown Council Live today. Again, our thanks to Dr. Jamie Sled, moderator extraordinaire for one of our Crown Council mastermind groups, and Taylor Ballard from Peak Dental Studio for her insights on the lab world and producing quality work. So thanks for joining us. And make sure to join us every week, Thursday, noon Central, Crown Council Live. This program is always filled with resources, information, and things that you can use to create a culture of success in your practice. Thanks for being with us. Have a great week ahead, and we will see you next Thursday. Thanks, everybody. Bye now.